Hey guys, it's me, Minibig Jack 24 here. Today I'm, back to my weekly reactionary series because if there's anything that I like doing better, it's watching the Muldoon logs. Because honestly, I quite honestly enjoy them, and honestly, I keep looking forward to each new episode, and plus, I find this to be extremely creative for the series of kind of with the IP of Jurassic Park because honestly, it's been more creative than like the first. Honestly, I would say the first three films, the novels were also very creative along with the first three films, although I will say Jurassic Park 3 on the film standard is more of a fun bad than like really holding a candle to either the original or the Lost World in terms of writing that's good, but yeah. So just quick little overall of me for those that are just watching for my own playlist. You guys can skip ahead most likely a few minutes, so I'll try making this as brief as possible. All right, so for those that don't know, I wanted to go into college for paleontology, but because for a long time I've had a very long and still ongoing interest in paleontology, but it took me until like about the second year of high school to realize that my interest in paleontology is more of a lifelong hobby than it is like an actual career-wise thing, which kind of annoyed me. So I am so I went from being into someone that had a lot of interest into paleontology and like maybe a little bit of interest into film to someone that is now pursuing film in college. So yeah, that's currently where I'm at, but I usually try keeping myself up to date with the most recent paleontological finds and studies, although granted most of the time I have to wait for people to make YouTube videos about it because if not, my ADHD will cause me to wander and I won't really pay attention too much or fully understand what parts of the paper mean because to me, some parts of anatomy can get a bit confusing at times, especially if you don't have like a visual for each part or if you're not too like familiarized with being able to like imagine stuff in your mind. For those that don't know, I suffer from aphantasia, meaning I don't have any mental imagery at all in my mind whenever I try thinking of something. Like, obviously, I would know like what something is, but I won't be able to see it in my mind, and I don't hear myself think as I have no inner monologue, so no ability to being able to reference what something is. Something is yeah, terminology can get confusing, but yeah. Besides that, I wanted to mention that actually on, I believe, Saturday, me and my dad are going to be watching some of the Muldoon logs, which should be nice because currently, currently we have like maybe a few episodes to catch up on since although I know he's probably watching the series, so I think we'll go off from whatever the series, from whatever we get to here. Anyways, before we begin, all of the copyright once again belongs to Aliota, who I cannot thank enough for making this creative and wonderful series that's kind of a based on and a mixture of the Jurassic Park novels and films universe, like kind of combining, but also being on his own way, which is interesting. And don't get me wrong, like I fully support it, and I want to see more creativity, and more success. So, anyone like, please go to the original video, leave like, subscribe, and also join them if you're able to since I'm not going to force y'all to join them, but anyways, let's begin. Oh, that's right. And Jurassic Park's copyright belongs to Universal City Studios LLC and to Amblin Entertainment Inc. With that out of the way, there is an original video down in the description, and there is going to be a link to Ilotta's channel in the description. Anyways, let's jump off here, shall we? If I remember last time, we had that cliffhanger of the Raptor opening the door in Muldoon's lodge. Alright. For those that have been watching my reaction series, you guys will know that this part's going to be really brief, but for those that don't know, Velociraptor anthropus is not a real species of Velociraptor. I know, shocking. As Michael Crichton originally based his Velociraptors off of Deinonychus anthropus. However, due to paleo art book in the mid to late 80s, I forget which one exactly, that Michael Crichton saw it mistakenly named Deinonychus as Velociraptor anthropus, which, to be honest, Michael Crichton, who was a pretty big science fiction writer, like knew that, yeah, Deinonychus was the correct name, but he just thought that Velociraptor sounded cooler and a bit easier to pronounce, so I don't blame him. But yeah, Velociraptor does have two valid species for it. First is Mongoliensis, and I do forget about the other one, since honestly I'm not too familiar with Velociraptor, as honestly Dromaeosauridae and the subfamily of Velociraptorines are not my specialty, as I'm more into I would say more into kind of the Tyrannosaur and more of the Stegosaur kind of lineage, as I always have to refresh my mind on those stuff. But yeah, Dromaeosaurs are not something that I know off the top of my head that well. But I do know that, Velociraptor anthropus is not, a real animal. It's Deinonychus anthropus. And believe me, I would say this. Primitive War had pretty good Deinonychus, although I would say Deinonychus would be a little bit bigger than what Primitive War was showing, but, that is, not too bad overall. Anyways, let's get into it. Oh yeah, also from the last video, in this universe, Jurassic Park has two species of Dilophosaurus. First is Dilophosaurus sweaterili, which is indeed a valid species, which is good. The other one is Dilophosaurus sinensis, which is currently not a valid species in the terms of it's not a valid Dilophosaurus species, but is rather a kind of being debated as a valid Sinosaurus species, which has been reassigned to Sinosaurus, so a bunch of different calculations and stuff is going on with that, so I don't know fully, whether or not, it's going to be, a canon thing or not. No, not a canon thing, more like that. So pretty much the movie Dilos are, once again, without the frill, which I love, because the frillless Dilos always make me enjoy, are the quote-unquote the Dilophosaurus sinensis species, end quote. And the other Dilophosaurus, which is the novel variant, is the actual true Dilophosaurus sweaterili. Although I will say both of these creatures do have inaccuracies with the fact that they're able to spit and produce venom, and that both of them were most likely around the same size, but still a bit bigger than the average person. I know Dilophosaurus could be maybe 6 to about 6 to 6.5 feet tall. tall, and I know Sinosaurus could get a little bit bigger, but that's going off of Sinosaurus triaschis and not Sinosaurus sinensis. So, yeah, because, papers are being a bit complicated at the moment. Oh, yeah, that's right. Today's episode is called The Angry Big One. So, yeah. Also, in some of these glitches, there has been raptor faces. Yeah, y'all saw it, so I'm not crazy.
Ray, I need last night's river feed pulled up.
What is that?
South. I want...
Oh, that's a Brachiosaurus. Rising up. For a second, I thought that was a giant snake. I kid you not. If I see a giant snake, I am going to be... Wait a sec. Yeah, sorry.
Wave system logged.
All right, but I'll say this up front, Muldoon. If it moved through the water, the system can't see it, because the movement of the water and the convection rising from the surface screws up the sensors. We're not just counting shapes here, Muldoon. Every animal has a distinct profile. Pattern recognition, movement signatures, it's not just eyes on a screen.
I want to see what the computer has to say about a certain animal from last night.
The computers don't count animals the way people do. They don't say, that's a raptor. They say, that's asset ID 307, exhibiting behavior within expected parameters. Each animal's tagged visually and behaviorally, like a fingerprint.
And if one doesn't match a fingerprint?
Then it's flagged as temporarily unknown.
That seems like a bit of an issue to me. But I cannot wait until Ian Malcolm's introduced into the series, because for those that don't know, this kind of solves a bit of the novel's issues with counting the what do you call it? Counting the animals. Hold on, sorry, I just gotta find your friends that keep calling me since. Honestly, gotta tell them, I'm busy because I'm recording with y'all, and I feel like it's rude if I, step away to go do something for them. Although I'm just looking, where is their context? Sorry guys, but I gotta do this to make sure that they don't keep calling me. Give me a sec. Oh no, where is it? Oh yeah. Alright, I told them that I'm able to call in like about an hour or so let's keep going.
Environmental anomaly, false positive. The system assumes the roster is correct and filters anything that doesn't belong. Shadows, reflections, birds, overlapping heat signatures, foliage movement.
So if there's an animal that shouldn't exist, the computer politely ignores it.
Until
I mean, that kind of sounds like it. Wait, why is that fence so...
tells it not to. The tally is a closed loop, Muldoon. We start with a known number, and the system maintains that number unless instructed otherwise. These animals don't just pop into existence. Births...
I mean, not in a traditional sense, but I mean, they do breed. I mean, that's kind of an issue because, how else do you explain a few, anomalies happening? Not to mention, there's a lot of copies.
Logged, deaths are logged, transfers are logged. The assumption is order. It doesn't look for what it's not told to expect. That's a waste of computational power. Raptors, for example, are counted because they already exist in the database. An unaccounted one has no label to attach to. It works 99% of the time.
And the remaining 1%?
That's why you're here instead of trusting the screen. Look, here's the river segment. What timestamp are you after?
Around 2 a.m.
Here's the Dilo enclosure. Here's you.
What's that?
It's a temporary label while the computer figures out what to classify something. What's in the raft with you?
So if something was cloned, or hatched, or moved without being entered...
Then it gets designated this label until it causes a cascade failure. Missing animal report. Look, Muldoon, computers are very good at enforcing assumptions. They're terrible at questioning them. That's...
I would say that's more true for the early 90s era, late 80s, early 90s era of computers, but, I mean, they are getting better at questioning assumptions now with AI and stuff.
Still our job.
Then I want the assumption challenged. At this point, I'd rather see the truth than a clean spreadsheet. Can you rewind and follow that label to exactly the point when the computer first picks up on it?
Near this drainage pipe is the first sighting.
Oh. That's a bit interesting. For those that haven't read the novels, well, I would suggest doing so because I'm not going to give spoilers, but I'll give you a hint. These raptors that we keep seeing pop in and out of different locations and enclosures, well, they're using the tunnels to go in and out.
Occurs a little before midnight. No digital footprint anywhere before that. Why do you ask?
Nothing, Arnold. It's been neutralized. I need to let this go.
I would say this. Muldoon, you shouldn't let it go. We get to see what happened from the night over.
Good morning, Tony.
Morning, Muldoon.
It's not like you to be late for the boat at the East Dock. You didn't even close the lookout door on your way out.
I didn't. I could swear I did.
Doors wide open.
I wish Muldoon would watch back some of the footage and see that there was a raptor in his house. Well, in his home office area. But at the same time, I also have to say, I kind of also believe that Tony and, Muldoon could, both reasonably assume that, that one of them left it open by accident. Since, that happens from time to time.
Guess I mustn't have then. Sorry, Muldoon.
No harm done, Tony. It's all right. Just don't want a rat or something come and shit in here.
Fair enough. Actually, I haven't seen a rat over there in ages.
Agreed. That's a bit strange, isn't it?
Come to think of it, neither have I. I'll leave you to it, Tony.
Take care.
Bye. Ray, I'm not the greatest with tech. Can you see what's happened with my lapel cam?
It's out of storage, Robert. You've been recording continuously for hours. No overwrite permission, no compression. I'll offload all the footage. Congratulations, you've officially documented too much.
All right, call me when it's ready.
I mean, to be fair, in this universe where humans had pretty much asked Roberts to be, recording a lot of stuff for tourist safety stuff. I don't know. Like, saying that it kind of isn't it's made clear from Muldoon's end, but it just doesn't make a bit sense company-wise. I mean, Muldoon said so himself, but,
Robert Muldoon, Game Warden. Inspection log for September 18, 1991. This is the Animal Handlers Corridor, adjacent to the Jungle River, in the Sauropod Swamp exhibit. These guys are normally always waiting eagerly for staff. Here we go.
Yeah, it's my favorite dinosaur of all time. Actually, my favorite herbivore of all time. The Parasaurolophus, and I believe this one is Walkery. Yeah, I believe this one in Jurassic Park is Walkery. Look at these beauties.
Beginning inspection of the Parasaurolophus and their enclosure. 3 subadults present, all accounted for, all crowded near the feeding gate, despite the paddock being otherwise open. That alone tells me more than any chart. Animals gather where patterns have rewarded them before.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but I would also say that in this case, it's not because of patterns.
Sleeping at the gate instead of grazing, calm but expectant.
I know I'm going to sound like a dummy here, but I would pet it. I'm sorry, guys. I won't be able to resist, and I'll be gladly killed as the idiot who tried petting the Parasaurolophus. But hey, if I'm going down, I'll be petting it.
They are usually fed special supplemental tablets, huge tablets. The tablets provide the animals with the amino acid lysine as part of the lysine contingency.
So cute.
Our resident whiz kid.
Look at how cute it is. It is a beauty. It's a beautiful Perry. Yeah, so cute. Yeah.
Henry inserted a gene into their genetic makeup that prevents all InGen's dinosaurs from manufacturing lysine. Therefore, they depend on receiving the amino acid exogenously from us, otherwise they'll go into a coma within 12 hours and expire. Since these animals are part of an ecology long vanished and have no predators in the contemporary world, this keeps a check on their growth. They have been genetically engineered to be unable to survive in the real world. They can only live here in Jurassic Park. Parasaurolophus has always been logged as compliant, low risk. I don't like that label.
I agree here. Although I know Muldoon's gonna rant on, herbivores being extremely dangerous, which, to be fair, they are, because a lot of people don't forget that herbivores aren't peaceful. They have to fight for their survival. Meanwhile, a carnivore will, hunt you because it wants to eat, but, if you give a carnivore enough, of a fight, they will back down because they would know, oh, hey, you're not worth the risk. Unless if it's, extremely starving, then you might be on the screwed side, but,
At this size, risk isn't about temperament. It's about mass and momentum. Each one of these animals could flatten a fence or a man without meaning to.
Agreed.
When herbivores kill, it's usually an accident, except your odd elephant, rhino, or hippo.
Yeah, I would say that's usually the case. Maybe a buffalo if a person tries taking a picture with them. No, not a buffalo, a bison give me a sec, in Yellowstone.
That doesn't make the outcome any better. They're resting flank to flank, smallest kept toward the center. That's herd behavior, not coincidence. Even in captivity, they maintain protective geometry. It tells me they still think in terms of threat vectors, even if nothing is immediately present.
They're
Their
so cute.
tests aren't active this morning, but they usually make low calls, sub-audible. You don't hear them so much as feel them through the ground. We record frequencies, but I'm not convinced we understand what's being said. These sounds travel farther than our fences. Through soil, through water, through rock. There's a strong...
Oh, look, it's a little baby. Well, I know it's a juvenile, but still. I mean... Oh, alright. Here's where my paleo nerd side is. Depending on how old this one's supposed to be, I suppose that the crest forming, like, about here is a good start, but if it is supposed to be, like, a complete juvenile, like, still, I wouldn't say complete hatchling, but I would say, like, one that's, like, I would say if this just entered its, puberty stage, then I can see its, horn growing out, because if not, it would still be slowly kind of growing as a little nub on the back of its head until it grows out. But I can easily buy this as, oh, this is beginning to just mature. Like, this is in the beginning stages of maturing, because maturing takes years in time, granted, with some genetic mutations from InGen. I mean, these animals are all growing at like an extremely fast rate, so I wouldn't be surprised if, it's like almost there to maturity, but just has entered into the maturity months, but
ability they're communicating beyond the enclosure, and we simply lack the instruments to interpret it properly. I've seen them do this before storms, particularly, before maintenance vehicles arrive, once before a containment alarm that hadn't yet triggered. They react first, our systems come online second. From a warden's perspective, that makes them early warning animals.
I mean, that would be... Honestly, that would be a pretty beautiful thing, as honestly, I want to imagine that humans have probably missed out on probably some of the most beautiful sounds that were ever made in history, because there are some animals that create beautiful sounds, and, well, one of these is from the Parasaurolophus itself, since we did a 3D scan of its crest. Granted, it only showed, like, the basic, bone structure of, like, where the hollow tubes are, and when blowing through it, kind of created something like a bit like a trumpet. Like, it was a pretty beautiful sound, although this doesn't account for any soft tissue that would have been in there when the animal was alive. And honestly, it would have been beautiful to hear, and this goes for all Lambeosaurians, because it would have been beautiful to hear what the sounds would be like,
Senses. The troubling part is that they may be responding to things we don't yet recognize as threats. The enclosure itself is wide, scenic, open by design, excellent for visibility, poor for control.
Hold on.
These three
What's
panic.
on your mind, girl?
There is no grace.
I know it's the Rex call that caught your attention.
There is only a stampede. Fences are rated for pressure, not intent, and intent doesn't matter when several tons decide to move at once.
Agreed.
I've noted
this is not a good sign.
Repeated contact points along the same sections of the perimeter, not ramming, not testing, just habitual presence, standing, leaning, listening. Animals
Something tells me that this is a defense mechanism.
Their world the way people do, through repetition. Given enough time, they learn exactly where the edges are. People like to think intelligence equals aggression. That's a comforting mistake. These animals remember handlers, feeding schedules, changes in routine. They recognize individuals. I've seen them track someone with their eyes long after that person has left their field of view. That kind of awareness doesn't disappear just because we label them gentle giants. There's an ethical problem here we don't like to discuss. These aren't decorations. They're thinking, sentient, social animals.
Agreed. That goes the same for all animals, even though their intelligence might vary from animal to animal. Granted, intelligence is not necessarily a skill that's needed, because an animal only needs to be about as smart as it needs to be able to survive. See, with humans, since we invested so much into intelligence and being able to create tools, that we kind of overrided that system and taken over the world, and now I'm speaking through a rock that's capturing sounds through a rock, and you're playing this and watching this through a rock, and hearing this through a rock, if that makes any sense. So yeah, humans have done some outlandish stuff with their intelligence, but in all reality, like, we're pretty lucky that we managed to survive with our intelligence, because oftentimes, like, intelligent animals oftentimes don't often make it out to be like this big thing. Like, humans are the exception, not the rule with intelligence.
Us to live as background scenery. When something intelligent realizes it's being observed but not understood, it changes how it behaves. Quietly, patiently. Her vocalizations are increasing now, still low, resonant.
I mean, I think I know why they increase.
She's not distressed, but not idle either. This is social communication,
No, this isn't.
coordination. These calls don't stop at the fence line, which raises an uncomfortable question. What else is listening? And whether those listeners associate these sounds with safety, food, or opportunity.
Oh, what's this over here? Oh, that's why she's calling. You look where I'm pointing, because that ain't a
Everything here appears normal, healthy animals, clean enclosure.
No, it doesn't, because right there, Muldoon, that's right in your eyesight. That there is not a Parasaurolophus. And also, that is clearly a Velociraptor. Well, I know it's a Deinonychus, but you guys know what I mean. It's a Jurassic Park Velociraptor, and it's a Deinonychus. Alright?
No visible stress markers.
Literally, there's a raptor right there in that enclosure. You can see that clearly there. I get your attention is not exactly where the camera is at, because we all know eyeline is not exactly where the camera is located, but yeah, this para is making this noise because, keep in mind, animals have a field of vision a bit better than humans, so yeah, they can see you without directly, having to turn their heads all the way,
And that is precisely when I pay the close.
And there goes that raptor to run away.
In my experience,
hides.
disaster doesn't announce itself. It waits until everyone is satisfied the system is working.
I agree, and also disagree. Disaster happens to strike whenever it's the most... I would say it's either the most convenient or inconvenient of times, because disaster doesn't wait around for either the most perfect chance to strike. It strikes when there is a bad chance of, disaster occurring, and also it happens when there's a good chance of disaster happening. Like, disasters aren't necessarily all kind of focused on it. I mean, if that makes sense, like, disasters strike whenever. Like, it doesn't care if you're prepared for it or not. Like, disasters would occur no matter what.
Logging this as a routine inspection, though I don't believe in routine anymore. Animals are calm, feeding platform remains the focal point of attention, herd cohesion is strong, environmental sensitivity remains high, no immediate
Oh, such a cute baby.
action required. Beautiful animals.
I agree. They
End
are
of log.
beautiful.
The plumbing on this island is not exactly complete. In the main park, moats and sewerage runoff have very primitive drainage setups at the moment. I can't shake the feeling that the drainage system is linked to that raptor's appearance in some form or another.
I have a feeling they're spot on the money.
But Hammond said to forget about that raptor so that
Ah, damn it. Hammond, no.
I've just administered the lysine pills inside the feeder. 2 of them are taking the tablets now, Storm and her sister. They don't chew, they lick them. They don't hesitate once the scent is right. Meat is the only language they understand. And that's the problem. Lysine isn't food to them, it's an intrusion. We dress the tablets in fat and goat's blood and hope instinct does the rest. It usually does, provided we've made them hungry enough. And that's the part no one likes to hear. They don't get fed for 7 days prior. 7 days of nothing. No live prey, no goats, no cows, nothing. We let the hunger sharpen them until the smell of the tablets overrides their suspicion. It's effective, but I won't pretend it's humane.
It's definitely not humane. And also, I know Muldoon's about to bring up that, it's not exactly a good thing to starve an intelligent animal because, oh boy, we've seen what happens with humans whenever we get hungry and angry or hangry.
It's a compromise born out of stubborn biology and our refusal to redesign the animal from the inside out. You can't reason with a predator that only eats what fights back.
I mean, that's fair.
We've tried alternate.
Although I should mention that regardless, every carnivore, no matter what, like, if it sees free food, like, for example, a carcass that, that actually is fresh and hasn't been around for a very, very long time, like a fresh kill, like, it's not going to pass up on the opportunity for food. Unless if it can sense a bit of, like, if it's rotten or something. Because if it's starting to rot, then, like, I mean to the extreme extent of rot, like, where, like, it's starting to be, like, even more diseased and where only, like, the scavengers are picking at it. But, yeah, no. Most creatures will go for both live and dead prey because A, food is food and it's like offering a free meal.
Injectables in prey animals, time-release capsules, aerolized supplements. They learn too quickly. The moment something feels wrong, they remember it. And all it takes is one bad experience and you've lost the method forever.
Yeah, that's true. Although I would just recommend just tranking them and then just administering the sedative in, since I don't think that should be an issue.
These animals don't forgive patterns, they break them.
Hey, go back to eating.
I'm watching the third one now, the big one. She hasn't moved in with the others. She's at the far end, just inside the tree line. She's still just watching, not distracted by the show, just observing. Sometimes she refuses the tablets outright, waits until the others are done, then sniffs about the perimeter. Hunger doesn't blind her the way it does the other pair.
Actually, it will, if given long enough. Hunger will blind someone. Also, to address the lysine issue. Oh boy. So yeah, even though that they need the park's lysine, it turns out regular old lysine works just fine because there are some animals that are more affected by the lysine contingency than others in the Jurassic series because some actively just have that factor like bred out. In the novels, the raptors have that issue like gone, so it's not even a question of, what would occur.
Could be dominance. Let the others expose themselves to a potential risk first. See if there's a consequence. Could be stress from hearing that fourth raptor's call the other night. We've been cycling the gates more often, running drills. They feel that. They feel everything. Or it could be something simpler. She's just not hungry enough. That worries me more than defiance. She's thinner than last mealtime, but not weak. There's a difference. She's conserving energy, not losing it. Watching angles, listening. She's learned that feeding time is when people are closest, when routines are loud, when mistakes happen. If she doesn't take the tablet within 3 days, we'll have to isolate her. Separate administration. And that carries its own risks. But the lysine lasts about 2 weeks in the raptors. Every animal metabolizes at different rates, but if the big one doesn't take some lysine supplement in the next 72 hours, she could slip into a coma. This is why I keep pushing for alternatives. Transdermal delivery, implanted slow-release delivery, anything that doesn't rely on starving an intelligent animal into compliance.
I agree, because that's a pretty bad move.
You can only corner a predator like this for so long before it starts planning around you.
That is true. That is actively quite true. Honestly, it is something that will occur.
Hunger sharpens memory, doesn't dull it. The other two are finished now, tablets swallowed. They're irritated, expecting more that isn't coming. The big one hasn't moved. Still watching, still thinking. If this were the wild, I'd say she's choosing the better moment. In here, it means she's ahead of us again.
I don't think she's going after the tablet right away while Muldoon is around. Aww.
Seems like they've disobeyed her. Right.
Oh. Was that Storm?
I said I'm done with following this up, but there's one more large drain that I just remembered, and I can access it without entering any enclosure.
Ooh. Alright, let's take a look.
Oh, wow.
That's a weird thing. Wait a second, I know those footprint marks anywhere.
Oh.
That ain't good, but once again, bravo to Aliana. For those that are willing to go support Aliana, go do so. I highly recommend it, because if you support him, the more goodies we get in return. We get more Muldoon logs, we get better stuff. Hell, we get a continuation of a series that I love, and plus, you don't have to, join and give him money and stuff. You subscribing and liking the video and sharing it around with more people is good enough for the alternative, since you don't have to spend money that you don't have, and that is fair. Also, I'll see y'all later in the next one. As once again, all the copyright belongs to Aliana, and Jurassic Park's copyright belongs to Universal City Studios LLC, and to Amblem Entertainment Inc. Anyways, I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.